I'm out in our neighbor's yard on this snowy, wintry day, moving muck, wet, dense soil from one area into a new high tunnel that's being developed. And I realized I could share some notes here around different types of shovels that I've used over the years, different techniques and ideas. I find myself moving a lot of heavy, wet muck soil in the winter, and the type of shovel you use goes a long way into how comfortable that can be after a long day of doing so. One thing I've definitely learned is that in an ideal scenario, if I'm moving soil from one area to another, I think through how to move it the least distance. So in this particular area, we've got some shrubs on one side, some shrubs on the other. This was a bed in production this summer, but my thought is to cut out the 4-foot wide bed and actually go down a little so there's some standing water. We could do some wet loving crops on a 4-foot wide bed by about 50 feet long. And so if I can move that soil the least amount, that's ideal to me. And so I'm moving it from here into this high tunnel. I work with a lot of different shovels to this end, pretty much across the board. If I'm going to be digging into soil and cutting in, moving it and all that, I use a standard pointed shovel, not a flat spade, not a nursery spade. That's pretty darn important. I think it's very worthwhile if you have the time and the tool to take, a minute to 3 minutes or so to use a flat file, a coarse flat file, to sharpen the leading third of your shovel. I've also learned that when I'm doing this kind of work for a long time, I prefer these simpler, all the shovels I work with do not have D handles. I like a straight stalk on them, straight shaft on them. And I like the rounded, rubberized end rather than a flat end like this, because I have this in the palm of my hand all day and it kind of pushes really hard with this firm edge. So I prefer these rounded tops quite a bit. And I don't necessarily look for a shovel that has super beefy, thick steel, massive, powerful steel. I'd rather have a lighter shovel. In fact, this is a shovel that only cost, I think, $12. Very, very light. And as long as I'm not trying to pry up huge rocks, I'm trying to cut through soil, the lighter and leaner, the better for a tool like this. But one thing I've learned, really special upgrade tool, and hopefully this is new to some of you, if you're moving very wet, very clay, very muck soil, a shovel with a huge number of holes drilled through it is a massive improvement. These two shovels are almost the exact same profile and weight, but the one on the right releases wet soil from the shovel incredibly well, whereas the one on the left, when you go to throw that material, it often sticks to the shovel, which can be really, really tough on your body, especially if it happens over and over and over again. The other benefit is if you're working with in purely saturated soils, in other words, you're digging under standing water, it will allow you to remove material but not the weight of the water. Why move water when your goal is actually to move soil? I'm not sponsored by these folks, so I have no vested interest for you to buy this particular shovel, but I'll put a link in the description to this. But my stronger encouragement, because this cost about $50 or so plus shipping, because it's not a local tool that I found. This is a $12 shovel you can get at any small mom and pop hardware store. What does it look like to take one of those and start drilling some holes? Do you need all the holes that are on this shovel, or would just a small, maybe you start with 10 or 15, add as you go? So maybe you can skip buying a whole other tool and just find an old light shovel that you can do that modification with and get the benefits from it. Hope that's helpful.